I think we have a good list of attendees. So behind me you'll see our humble board game collection. So those are the games we're really into. They're a bit on the, so complexity wise there's light, medium, and heavy. So what we usually play is from a medium to heavy perspective rather than something that's very light. But what I want to do today is actually recommend a few games. Yes, Mariam, those are all board games behind me. This is يعني Kallax shelves from IKEA are very well known to hold board games. So those are a bunch of Kallax shelves. So yeah, so what I plan to do today actually is, given the quarantine, everybody's at home. So board games are actually a great activity to do it socially with family and typically friends when things are fine. But today, given the situation, we're at home with our families, so it's good to do some new activities. Hi, Basil. To do some activities with family. So I'll start off, I think, with no particular order. I've curated a couple of games. I think there's 6 or 7 for you guys to take a look. They're widely available. They're not out of print games. So to start off, I want to start off with this one. Actually, it's called Love Letter, and Love Letter is in the category of something called social deduction games. So it's 2 to 8 player game. So it plays up to 8 players, minimum of 2. And essentially what the role here, or actually the activity, is to eliminate other players so that you are the last one who can win the princess's heart. So it's a very cool game. It's a simple card game, and it's fun. Anybody can play it. I think the age group, the box says 14 and up, but I think 10-year-olds can play it. Just watch out for kids who don't do well with losing, because it has kind of an elimination criteria. So kids who don't take losing well, maybe this is not for them. But it's just such a fun game, and one of the first games I used to play and still do actually, and use it to introduce a lot of people. Hi Wissam, hi Rabia. So this was Love Letter, 2 to 8 players, social deduction, fun game. It's pretty good, and highly recommended. The next one, and so this is a big box actually. This is called Lords of Waterdeep. So I'll just put it down for a bit. So in case you're familiar with Dungeons and Dragons, or D&D for short, which is a massive hit, big role-playing game that's still ongoing. There are very big communities for it, and it's very popular. So they made a board game based on the D&D universe, the City of Waterdeep, essentially. So this game is so there's a base box that plays 2 to 4 players, and then there's an expansion which is called Scoundrels of Skullport. So that adds 2 more players. So with the expansion, I would honestly play with the expansion all the time. It plays from 2 to 6. So this is a competitive game actually, where you have your agents in the City of Waterdeep doing stuff, doing mischief, going on adventures, quests, and so on. And at the end of the day, the person with the most points wins. Very interesting game, and I think it's so much fun. Also, one of the very first games I used to play, and still would play it any day. So yeah, that's Lords of Waterdeep. What's next? Okay. Century Golem. So Century Golem. Okay, Mariam, take care. Century Golem is also a very interesting game. It's a hand management game. So you have a market of cards that you need to acquire into your hand, and later on, what happens is that you use those cards to to convert crystals that you have into higher valued crystals, so that you can kind of acquire golems, or essentially it's basically acquiring victory points. So by the end of the game, the person with the most, I think if you collect 6 or 7 golems, the game ends, and then you count up the points, and whoever has the most points wins. Very nice game. Really highly recommended. So that's Century Golem. It's a trilogy. Emerson Matsuuchi is the designer. He's a very renowned designer. If you know, we have some video gamers here. All right, Fadi. Yeah, take care, man. In case you know Metal Gear Solid, he's also designing the Metal Gear Solid board game from the video game adaptation. So yeah, this is a very good one as well for family. I think it plays 2 to 5. 2 to 5. It's a fast one as well. It's 45-minute game. Highly recommended. What's next? All right. Next up is Wingspan. So Wingspan is one of the biggest board gaming hits of 2019. This game, I think currently in the world, I don't want to give wrong information, but maybe there's 100,000 or 200,000 copies in circulation. And in board gaming terms, this is really huge. So essentially, you have a bird sanctuary, and you throughout the game you attract birds into the sanctuary. So you have the forest, the grasslands, and the wetlands. So you attract birds based on the type of habitat that they prefer, and you kind of build your tableau by acquiring those. No? Hi Faisal. How's Dallas? So yeah, Wingspan is extremely interesting. It's as I told you, it's one of the biggest hits. It's very family friendly. It plays from one. So board games today have this thing called solo mode. So you can play it on your own in case you can't find players. Hi Ibrahim, good to see you, man. So it plays 1 to 5. So great for you know a bigger family with a few kids. Wingspan is excellent, and you know I've used it a lot also to introduce to gamers to let's say people new to board gaming. It's really good and highly recommended. So that's Wingspan, and it comes also from a very well established publisher, Stonemaier Games, run by also a person who's really enthusiastic and passionate about board games. So this is our 4th game, Wingspan. Hi Munir. And yeah, that's it. Now for our next game, this is a cool one actually. It's called Quacks of Quedlinburg. Yeah, it's a weird name. It's also a Kennerspiel des Jahres. I hope I pronounced that correctly. 2018 winner. I think Wingspan was the 2019 winner. So anyhow, it's an award in Germany for the best board game of the year. So essentially, in this game, it plays 2 to 4, and if you get the expansion, which is another box, you play up to 5. So it adds another player. You're witches in this game, and basically what you do is you're stirring a pot of it's a potion pot, and you have a bag. You don't know what you're pulling, and you're adding those ingredients to the bag. Now what happens essentially is by the end of it, or let's say at any time, you may pull ingredients that would make your potion explode. So it's kind of the mechanism here is called, it's both bag building, Lama. Hi Lama. It's called bag building and push your luck, because you don't know what you're pulling out of your bag, what ingredients, because some of the ingredients are bad. So it's so much fun. It's it's one of those games where even if you lose, you're laughing so hard at busting a couple of times and just ruining your potion. So highly recommended for families because it's just so much fun. Yes, maybe it's tough to build a strategy, and for people who prefer deeply strategic games or games on the heavier side, might not enjoy it, but I really do. Fun game, always have a good time with it. That's Quacks of Quedlinburg. What else? Okay. So this is also, I think it won the game of the year back in 2017, if I'm not mistaken. It's a game for 2 to 4 players, and it's an abstract strategy game. What's an abstract strategy game? It's essentially like chess. Chess is a really abstract game. It's like pieces on a board, and you're moving them and they do stuff. So in Azul has to do with Portugal, I believe. In Azul, what you're doing is you have tiles of different shapes, and you need to arrange them in a certain order, based on certain restrictions that you have on your board. So you have those tiles, you have different tiles, and you draw them from the main board. A great game for families. So much fun. It can get a bit mean if you're playing with mean people, but otherwise, I really recommend it. It's a good game. It's fun, and light, and always a blast to play. So this was Azul. And by the way, there are 3 Azul items. Bakri, my man, how are you? How's the lifting? Loving those squats. So in Azul, essentially there are 3 Azul games so far. Everyone has different mechanisms. So this one was the very first one that was released, and then there were 2 more. We have them all. They're all fantastic games. I might like maybe the latest one more than others, because I don't know. Essentially, there are lots of bonuses in it, so it doesn't feel very restrictive. So this was Azul, great game. I really enjoy it. The last one I have for you guys, actually, it's a very popular game, and it's the only cooperative game I have I have shown you, or will be showing you right now. This game is very well known. It plays 2 to 4 players. As I mentioned, it's a co-op. So all the games that I showed you earlier are competitive games. So the players do not come together and either win or lose together. In this one, however, it's the players against the game. Without further ado, the game is called Pandemic. And yes, it's essentially what you think. It's what you're thinking. It's essentially a game about fighting diseases that are ravaging the world. You play as certain medical specialists. You're doing stuff. You have special powers based on what if you're the medic, you do stuff. If you're I think one of them is as a helicopter driver. You can go from country to country and so on. So it's a very well known game. It's a co-op game. So this kind of helps with teamwork if you want to kind of instill the sense of teamwork in your children and so on. It's a great game, cooperative, really good, and highly recommended. So those were the games. For the people who just joined, we just spoke about Pandemic, spoke about Azul, spoke about Quacks of Quedlinburg, spoke about Wingspan, spoke about Century Golem, spoke about Lords of Waterdeep, and finally Love Letter. So those are games that I would recommend for your families during those times. They're really interesting. The rules aren't that complex, so they're easy to teach as well. This is something in games that you typically face as someone who's played a couple of games such as myself. The rules, you don't want a game ultimately where it takes an hour to teach. Start off, I think, with a lower rules overhead, and ultimately you would kind of get to a place where you're more comfortable. After you've learned a few mechanisms, the core kind of moving parts of games. So once that you're comfortable with that, I think in case you guys enjoyed this, I'm happy to make a kind of series about particular games. I can even tell you about my top 10 games of all time. Just have a chat with you guys personally. Send me a message if you need kind of tailored recommendations, and then I'm happy to oblige. So this was it. Unless anybody in the stream has any questions, let me know. Otherwise, yeah, this was it. This was fun. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and take care, and let me know. I'm happy to do further content around this. All right, thank you.